imagine 50 years ago they'd be going,
I know. Have you ever wondered what hypnosis might be and what it can do for you? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Hypnosis-Everywhere with your host, Inez Simpson. This is the show that talks to everyone, from the experienced practitioner to the cautiously curious, and yes, even the skeptics. Now, here's Inez Simpson.
Welcome, everybody, to Hypnosis Everywhere, and this is Inez Simpson. And I do have my sidekick here, Martin Gover. Say hello.
oh,
And I have my guest today from Northern Ireland, from close to Belfast, and that's Turan Mirza.
Hi there.
And we're going to be talking about a different style of hypnosis today. We're going to be talking about street hypnosis and how that works into working with change work and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to go right to Turan, and I'm going to ask him first what brought him to hypnosis and how he sees hypnosis. I pretty well asked that of all the guests that come, so you want to just
Indeed.
break into that.
Well, that's it. So I started off, before I was even doing hypnosis, I'll say I'm quite junior to this task. I'm 53 years of age, but it was about 9 years ago, and I have 4 kids, and they were younger and more gullible to my dad antiques. And I used to do coin vanishes and little card tricks. Nothing I would actually do in front of anyone else other than my enforced audience of my 4 children. And so I saw a little, what I thought at the time was a magic trick on television. And I thought, oh, I'm going to do that magic trick for the kids next. And the more I looked into it and tried to figure it out myself and looking on YouTube, looking at other things, I realized it wasn't magic. It was actually hypnosis. And I just got really sucked into the whole idea of what this hypnosis thing was. And at the time, it was purely just to, do it as a party trick, as an idea, as a hobby. So I had no intentions that 10 years later, I would be doing this to help change people's lives, to help entertain people in a more professional way. So it's really surprised me myself. That's basically my background. Before I moved full time, I'm now full time. I've been doing this for just over 2 years now, full time, and like I say, 9 years on a part-time basis. I used to be a software engineer. So I used to be that nice, quiet introvert that just sat in front of a computer all day and typed programs and programmed computers. My university degree was electronics, so I know about the hardware side of it. And I'll probably come on to that a bit later in showing how I compare working with computers with working to people as well.
Great. I was just going to sort of put my foot in it and ask you about that, but you were already on that page.
Indeed. Yeah.
So let's, from your outlook of what hypnosis is, I know we talk about people, it's the bypass of the critical factor of the conscious mind and all that, but how do you really see hypnosis from your point of view?
Well, that's it. And I think your radio show really sort of demonstrates what I'm going to say next. If you look at my YouTube channel, my latest trailer at the moment that sort of summarizes what I do, the opening line is a presentation to an audience, and I say, if you ask 100 hypnotists, you'll get 100 different answers. And that is the way, because dare I say it on live radio, I don't think we really know what hypnosis is. It's everything. It's all everything. Communications. Yeah. If someone opens their mouth, if someone watches the television, hypnosis is there. If anything is communicating, whether it's person to person or words being communicated from a book. Often I say to people, have you ever been hypnotized? And they say, oh, I've never been hypnotized before. And I say, well, have you ever read a book and felt sad or happy or laughed, had some sort of emotion one way or the other? And they will often, 100 times out of 100, they'll say, yes, well, I've read a book and felt sad, or, a romantic novel, something like that. And I said, well, think about what you've just done. You've looked at a white page with lines on it. Now, those lines we call words, but basically they're just black lines on a white page. And yet staring at those black lines on a white page has stirred an emotion, a feeling inside your body that has caused sadness, caused laughter. It's changed your feeling in some way just by staring at a white page. That in itself is hypnosis. Or the other, and it's probably hard to demonstrate on radio now, but I think you can understand it when I speak about it. If you're watching maybe the Fast and Furious movie on television and the cars swing to the left, and you find yourself as you're sitting at home on the settee swinging to the right to compensate for that left turn, that's hypnosis, because at that point in time, your brain doesn't know that you're sitting on the settee in your living room eating popcorn. Your brain thinks you're in that car, and it's actually compensating for it. So whether you're watching a movie, the movie is communicating something that stirs a feeling inside you, and you lose that sense of reality. And that's really, I don't know if I've summed it up well, but that's really what hypnosis is. It's getting to the point where your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and your imagination.
Because that's imagination is just as real as reality. How many people have you seen go into an IMAX movie and it's all about going down canyons and things? Some people have seen get physically sick.
That's it.
That's hypnosis.
And again, all those reactions are physiological things that if I can get that out of my mouth, that people are automatically processing. So you're going into that state of mind where you're automatically reacting to things because you don't know the difference between imagination and reality. Yeah.
So that's the most important part, and I always talk about that. And no matter how we look at hypnosis, everyone has a slightly different outlook. It's in the end, it's all the same, because imagination is just the same as reality.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
So I really wanted to ask Turan and to talk a little bit about the street hypnosis, because most people, that want to have entertainment, they think it's wonderful, but they never cross it over to getting the change work. Like saying, oh, gee, I don't feel I need to fix this, or I need to, I want to be the best dancer in the world, and getting work for that.
That's it.
Done, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to let you take that.
Yeah, I'll zoom back to the start there when I was talking about my experience and just starting out and learning just for curiosity, just for a bit of entertainment. So the way I moved through into more serious change work, or hypnotherapy, some people would call it, is that I was just doing this at Christmas parties, family parties. And of course, when you're holding a family party, there's usually a stranger there, someone that's coming along with a partner, something like that there. And these people were starting to come up to me and say, will you do you do what you just did there for my birthday party or this Christmas party coming up? I'd love you to invite you along and I'll pay you for this. And I was, I can actually make money out of this hypnosis hobby, this hypnosis interest. So people started to pay me just to do this, casual. It wasn't a stage show at this stage. It was just sitting around 2 or 3 people, and I would just, hypnotize someone and make them feel like they were stuck to the chair, or make them feel that they forgot their name. And that, moved me on to the next stage, where someone then said, well, I'd love you to do a stage show. And I started to do the stage shows, and a bit of, step back again. During that process, my son got involved as well, Turan Mirza. He got involved in doing it with me. So he would come along and help me out with the stage shows and help hypnotize people and help with the show moving along. And after a while, people come up to me and it's always in the negative. They say, I'm guessing this stuff wouldn't help me sleep better, or I guess you couldn't help me stop smoking. And at the time, to be honest, I hadn't studied the change work side of things in detail. But by this stage, I was very familiar with being able to make a suggestion that you were stuck to the chair, making a suggestion that you couldn't remember your name. I mean, forgetting your name is something you hear from the minute you're born, and yet people could forget that. So I thought, well, just hypnotize them, as I've been doing on stage, and make a suggestion that they can't remember how to smoke, or that they think they'd never smoked. And sometimes it can be as simple as that. Now, since then, I've trained with a lot of people, a lot of the top names around the world, not just with yourself, Inez, but people like Melissa Tears, people like Mike Mandel, Justin Trance. I'm going to leave somebody out sooner or later, but see, these are the top names in the business. James Tripp, Andrew Austin, Nick Kemp, Kaz Riley. All these names are the top names in the business. Bob Burns, of course, we can't leave Bob out, and the famous Swan. So I've trained with a lot of people since then. And I now know a lot of other tools and techniques. And I don't. I didn't do what some people would do, which I call the traditional route of just going to one trainer and learning maybe over a 2-year period a hypnotherapy course. I've trained all over the world, gaining experiences, gaining knowledge. Obviously, as we spoke about there, we went to the UK Hypnosis Convention last weekend, and I've also went to Hypnothoughts Live in America. So I'm learning from seminars, learning from books, learning from DVDs. So I have a wide range of skills, tools, and techniques now. And I feel, in my opinion, and I can probably go into this more detail, having that background on the entertainment side and that simplicity of the entertainment side and being able to practice has helped me help people in a more therapeutic way.
I remember another guy that I know that does hypnosis, and he was a policeman before and then became a hypnotist. And one day somebody asked him to come do a show, and he said, well, I don't do that. And they said, why not?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, okay, why not? And then when he did do it, he found out the correlation between the stage hypnosis and what we do as helping people with all their issues is there's a very fine line of difference, but it's all the same mind.
That's it. I mean, the bottom line is, now, do the therapeutic side, and clients will come into me and they'll say, one of the standard things you do when someone comes in to a hypnotist for the first time is you want to get their understanding of what hypnosis is, because obviously we've watched all those Hollywood movies where people float in the air and levitate off the ground, and you want to make sure that they don't have these misconceptions. And I know you laugh. But I actually got that exact phrase one time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to touch on the fact that does hypnosis always work? It always works if you have someone that doesn't have any bad misconceptions.
Yes.
That is willing to go into this.
That is willing to go into.
Indeed. And one time I was just out in the street and I was hypnotizing someone. I was just wanting to stick their hand to the table so they couldn't pull their hand off the table. And again, this is just in their imagination. There was no glue, no cement. And it didn't work. I'm going to hold my hands up. It didn't work on that occasion. And I just wanted to do that market research. And I asked the girl, I feel there was some resistance. I feel there was something wrong that you weren't engaging with. And I said, what was that? And she said, well, I watched this movie where this girl was hypnotized and she levitated off the ground and I didn't want to levitate. So I won't mention which country it's in. I won't say whether it was Northern Ireland or whatever. But
so we'll come back and pick up that story after the break. And so I'm just going to go to break now, and we'll see you on the other side.
Excellent.
Did you do the Mike Mandel online course or?
No, in person in Vegas.
You're listening to Hypnosis-Everywhere, the Simpson Protocol. To reach the show today, please call into 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to Inez, that's INES, at InezSimpson.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Well, welcome back to Hypnosis Everywhere, and we're going to get right back to Turan. And I'm just going to ask him to finish up a little bit of that story, and then we'll go there.
Well, yes. I mean, basically, I ran away from that situation thinking, I'm a failure because it didn't work. But again, one of the things we learn in hypnosis is there's no such thing as failure.
No.
We just need to refine what we're doing and change the way we're doing it, and it will work.
And since you can't force anybody to go into hypnosis, you're bound to have those happen, because just because someone says to you in a stage show or on the street, yeah, okay, and sometimes they're thinking, yeah, okay, but.
Yeah.
And that was that case.
And I get that. And there's a nice video on my YouTube channel. I can't remember the exact name of it. I should have been more prepared here. But it's about, when someone resists hypnosis. And I'm going to spoiler alert here. If you do watch the video, and it's worth watching just to understand and see his reactions. Because, before we roll the camera, I say, who wants to be next? And he says, me. And he stands in front of me. And I say, right, do you want to be hypnotized? And he goes, I don't know if I do. And I said, well, go away. I can't hypnotize you. You need, as you said before, you need that compliance. You need that willingness to experience that. And the best way I put that to it, and I don't want to show off too much of my lack of morals, shall I say, but, if I'll say the phrase, if you could hypnotize someone against their will, I wouldn't be sitting next to the lovely Inez Simpson now. I'd be down the bank, asking the teller for £1 million. If hypnosis could work that way, if you could hypnotize someone against their will. Of course, I wouldn't because of my morals, but you get the analogy, you get the idea. Yeah. If it could work for anyone, then you would not know hypnotists exist. You just say, where do those millionaires get all that money from?
The only thing is, it can happen when you aren't knowing that you're in hypnosis, like in everyday hypnosis.
Indeed.
Everyday hypnosis, what you talk to yourself, what you talk to other people, we call it being a con man or a flim-flam man. Those are using waking hypnosis. Indeed. And those are valid. But the kind of hypnotist, when hypnotists use hypnosis, they're going to do it. And you have a choice in the matter.
Exactly. And this is, you've pressed on an important point there, because that's when I'm advertising for my course, I point out that people, even if you don't want to hypnotize anyone else, coming along, whether it's me or anyone else, coming along and learning what hypnosis is, how hypnosis works, the language patterns, etc., is very valuable to people, because you don't realize what's happened to you. I spoke earlier about just reading a book or watching a movie, and you don't realize it's happening. Mm-hmm. And sometimes just understanding hypnosis gives you a better viewpoint on life. So again, going to give a plug for all my hypnotist trainer friends. Whoever's listening in, if you just want to understand how hypnosis is happening to you, go along to a hypnosis course. Get some understanding.
And the thing about it is, I think generally that we are in hypnosis nearly 100% of the time. Indeed. But we are not knowing it. So when you're in hypnosis with a hypnotist, you always know that it's your choice, and you're going to go in and do
exactly. That. Most people, or I think most people, everyone goes into trance several times a day, probably 8 or 9 times a day at a minimum. And
even their self-talk and all that. But I think the difference is that when we do it, is we say, can you have our can you give us our permission to hypnotize you?
Indeed.
And it's such a very thing that's most hypnotists will do that.
That's
what
it.
You're saying? Yeah, Martin's got a good point there. He said most of the time what we're doing is dehypnotizing you from what hypnosis was used on you, what brand of cigarettes you smoke, and all those things. Those things are all patterned into your mind, and that's what we work with mostly, is your mind.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're moving sort of more into the change work side of things that I do. When people come along and they have, even if it's just a spider phobia or a fear of flying, fear of heights, they weren't born that way. People aren't born. Let's think about fear of flying. The Wright brothers, just over 100 years now. So this is not learned from generations and generations and embedded in our DNA. We've learned to be afraid. So we've been hypnotized. A suggestion was given, and it could be a suggestion by ourselves inside our mind, a thought inside our mind, and we accepted that suggestion. Or it could have been our mother said, you need to clear your plate, or there's starving children in Africa or whatever. And those suggestions will be accepted.
And many times you'll pick up your mother's fear of spiders or whatever, because you see it happening all the time as a small child. Oh, those must be dangerous,
In fact, I've got a lovely story there. I was actually working with an 11-year-old child for a fear of roller coasters. And again, when I'm working with young children, I like the parents to stay in the room. I think that's valuable, because hypnosis, is just not more than just putting someone in trance and changing their mind. But there's practical exercises and waking exercises that people can do. And I like to share those with the parents so they can reinforce them with the children later. But this particular, day, the lady said, "Oh, you two can go in there." And I said, "Are you coming with me?" She said, No, we talked about it, and he's happy enough just to work with you. So again, he's the client, the child's client, not the mother. So I thought, I'll good practice. I video record the session as well. I was taking the camera, and he says, "Oh, I've got a YouTube channel." And I thought, that's good. I've got a YouTube channel too, and we had this rapport and this synergy. So we went in and we worked on the roller coaster fear, and not trying to boast. Fears and phobias can be quick, but yes. So my work was done in about 15 or 20 minutes, and it was at that point. Again, if I go out too quickly, the mother's going to say, that's too quick. You couldn't have done anything useful. And so I thought, I'll sit in the room for a bit. And I said, tell you what, to the chap, I said, show me some of your YouTube videos. And the fella said, I would, but I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Ah.
So which I replied, good, we'll work on that as well, just to extend the time out. So we worked on that, and we helped him overcome his feeling of anxiety, his discomfort at listening to his own voice. So I went out and we talked with the mother. She said, how do you feel about roller coasters? I said, it's all sorted. In fact, we've worked on something else. And she said, what's that? And I said, well, I'll tell you when we're alone. So when I was alone with the mother, she said, so what was this other thing? And I said, well, he doesn't like the sound of his own voice. And she said, who does? Which I replied, so I found the stronger hypnotist in the room, And she put her hand out, and so I'm reading, so I can't demonstrate this video. She put her hand up to her mouth and, and I said, yes. And I said, but I never say that in front of him, in terms of you will not like the sound of your own voice. That's, again, back to the Hollywood stereotypical hypnotist. I said, you don't need to give a direct suggestion. And again, this is, again, an important point, just saying to your husband, I said to the lady, just saying to your husband, nobody likes the sound of their own voice, and that child is listening. He's part of that group called nobody. And he's going to accept that suggestion. He's going to take that suggestion on board, and that's how he learns. So, I've met the mother since, and she said, I heard someone saying something in front of their child, and I pulled them on it now. So again, another reason for, again, some hypnotists, don't like parents in the room, but I think quite a lot do. And it's personal choice. But it's good to educate the parents as well. Sometimes the parents can be the greater hypnotist than myself.
We end up being educators. That's what we educate every person that comes in our room.
That's it.
Everyone.
And like I say, parents, teachers, anyone in authority. When someone says to you, this is how it is, and they're a judge or a policeman or whatever, if you're in authority, a parent there, that you might not feel that way, but you're in authority over your children, and they recognize that. We've again trained them to respond to our orders, our commands for their own safety. Don't touch that fire; you'll burn your hand.
Yes.
Or, don't run across the street. So they look to us as an authority figure, and in that respect, they can also be hypnotized into believing one belief or another.
So again, we're dehypnotizing.
Exactly.
Again.
Exactly. So we need to, I'm glad I nipped that one in the bud with that parent. That's it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So, the whole thing, getting a little bit back to the stage hypnosis.
Indeed.
I mean, not the stage hypnosis, but the street hypnosis.
Yeah.
Is when I watch that, I want to know what goes through your mind when you see it. How do you say, I'm going to go and see and ask that person?
Well, the real answer is you just stop everyone. You just stop everyone, Now, it depends, you do need a bit of preparation. I walk around. If you watch my YouTube channel, again, you'll see I always have a T-shirt and it says hypnotist, clearly around, printed on the back. Otherwise, you might look a bit creepy, but, as I say, my son, does hypnosis with me. So we would take turns. I would video him. He would video me. So we're walking out as a set with a camera marked clearly hypnotist. So when we walk up to someone and say, do you want to find something interesting about your mind? And they say, what? And you stop them. Sometimes they'll be busy on their way to the shops and they just won't want to stop. And then you just stop the next person, So it's just looking for someone ambling along. They're going from shop A to shop B and they're not in a rush to get back to the car. That's the only way I don't try to say he's going to be more hypnotizable than him or she's going to be more hypnotizable than her. Again, there's no real way to tell.
No.
The only way to tell is to work with that person and see what happens next.
And, many times I've heard people say either if they're hypnotists, well, I don't want to do that stuff because it'll make me look not as professional or whatever. But they don't understand that we are all using the same rules of the mind.
Yes. So
understand that that's always what we're doing and we're working the same way. It's just different results and it's got different intent.
That's it. And again, coming back to what's the difference between street hypnosis and change work? The intent with street hypnosis is just to entertain and give people an experience.
Yeah.
With change work, the intent is to help them change themselves in a new way, in a different way.
So guess what? We're back at another break. Can you believe it?
Wow. Where is the time going?
Where does the time go? Okay. So we're going to go to break and we'll see you on the other side.
See you soon. Then he lost his.
Yeah.
You're listening to Hypnosis Everywhere, the Simpson Protocol. To reach the show today, please call into 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to Inez, that's INES, at InezSimpson.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hypnosis Everywhere, and we're having a great show about street hypnosis and regular hypnosis. And I'm just going to go right back to Turan because he can tell us some more about the street hypnosis. I think it's very interesting.
Indeed, like I say, what's wonderful about street hypnosis is it allows you to practice hypnosis. And we'll probably come on a bit more, again, more focused on the exact similarities between street and change work. But the thing about it is, if you have a hobby like juggling, and you're in a room and nobody's around and you see a bowl of fruit, then you can walk over to pick up 2 apples and an orange and start practicing. The problem with hypnosis is you do need to work with real people. Real people. So the best way to do that, again, is from a point of view of if you learn a new tool, a new technique, you don't want to play around with it when you've got clients coming in with real anxieties and you say, wow, today we're just going to play with this technique. You want to make sure you give them value for the money. So what I've found is if I have a new tool, a new technique, a new induction, a new way of suggesting something, a new language pattern, then try it out on the street. So as we were saying, we were talking earlier about just stopping people and say, would you like to be hypnotized? And again, some people will say no, and because they're rushing away. Some people will be ambling along, but they'll still not want to be hypnotized. Again, this is good for me as well. Just finding out all people's objections, because the objections you get out in the street are the same objections you get to people when they come in. You know, they say, oh, I'd love to come and change this fear I have of flying, but I don't want you to be in control, you know, and I get that out in the street as well. So I build up my response to that, you know, and highlighting that I'm never in control. Once again, you will not go into hypnosis unless you want to go into hypnosis. The hypnotist is never in control. He's just the guide, and it's up to you whether you follow that guide.
But what about when they stuck their hand to the table?
Again, it's because they want to.
That's right. It's imagination, and they're enjoying that.
And you ask a lot of people after it's just maybe a simple hand stick to the table, and they say, well, you know I could have lifted my hand anytime I wanted to, but I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
And that sums up beautifully in their own words that they were always in control.
Yes.
You know, I made that suggestion, and that's a beautiful word about that suggestion. I know some people are really sticky on the wording. Suggestion, that's all it is. I suggest that your hand stuck, and that demand I didn't take out a hammer and nail it to the table. It's just a suggestion, and they're free to accept it or reject it.
Oh, that's right. And they would reject it if it was something very strange to them, or if it was not their moral and they thought it was something strange.
Indeed.
I do have a story of someone who had been hypnotized. Supposedly it was a meditative state. It wasn't a hypnotist as such, but he had been hypnotized to go into a store and steal. Well, he came right out and he said, I'm not doing this. You know, and that's the same thing with anything that we do. If it's not that it's against your morals or you just don't want to do it, you'll just won't do it.
And again, people say, well, how can you help with my anxiety? How can you help this depression that I have? You know, if I can resist. The thing is, when people come in for a particular ailment, a particular thing that they want us to help them, you know, overcome, they want that. So it's congruent with what they want to do.
As long as we only tell them in the purview of what they want.
That's it. So, and I explain that to them. Anybody says, I don't want to lose control. I say, look, I'm going to talk to you today about ways of overcoming and changing your anxiety. And you're going to do that within your own mind and help yourself to change. If halfway through that I say, and give me your PIN number, they're going to go, you know, that's not part of, you know, overcoming my anxiety. And they will not do it.
They wouldn't do it.
You know, again, another famous phrase I would say was, you know, your conscious mind is not unscrewed from your head and left outside the waiting room door. You know, so the conscious mind and the unconscious mind is still inside that wonderful body that they come in
The
with.
conscious is always present. They still have the illusion. No matter how many times you tell people, they'll still have things that they should just be zombies and be there. And sometimes it works for them. They just want us to wave the wand.
Yep.
Right?
That's it.
And then they don't hear it, and then they fix. No, none of it is working that way. Sorry so much.
Yeah. And again, they come out, you know, when the session is over, they say, well, you know, I heard everything you said, but there was that one thing that I was trying to keep on track of what you were saying, and I was just drifting off. That's because that's the conscious mind being kept busy, and you're listening to the conscious, you know, consciously, while the unconscious mind is getting hold of the real change and making the real suggestion.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's where we work in the unconscious or subconscious, depending who's talking about it, the same thing. And that's where most of your power is, because the conscious mind is a very small percentage of your mind.
That's it.
So if you think you're in control, I think you look at the rest of your mind and see what's really there.
Indeed. Again, another way of thinking about it, another way I explain it to people when I'm talking to them for the first time is when they say, oh, I know I don't want to lose control. And I say, well, I'm going to sound like a mind reader. I say, I'm going to guess here that you've been breathing while I've been talking to you for the last 2 or 3 minutes. And they say, yeah. And I'm going to make another guess here that your heart has been beating. And they go, of course, you know, or you would have turned blue. I said, but you're not really thinking. You don't think consciously, I'd better take a breath here. You don't think consciously, I'd better beat my heart here. And yet it happens. So really, you're not in control of your body. It's that unconscious part of you that's controlling that. And some people, the odd person will say, but the heart's just a muscle. It automatically beats, you know, or your lungs just inflate and deflate automatically. You know, there's no brain power involved in that. And then I say to them, well, if a tiger was to walk in the room, you wouldn't think, there's a tiger, tigers can eat me. I'd better run away. I need blood and more oxygen to my legs to make sure I run as fast as possible. How should I get blood and oxygen? I'd better beat my heart faster. I'd better breathe faster. That just happens automatically. Mm-hmm. And when I say automatically, I mean that's the unconscious mind kicking into what we know as the fight or flight response. And you automatically beat your heart faster and palpitate your heart, and you automatically breathe faster. Mm-hmm. And again, that leads into the idea if that's where anxiety comes from, because there are no tigers, or, you know, I think we learned this in the saber-toothed tiger days. There's no saber-toothed tigers or dinosaurs anymore to eat us. There's just the boss shouting at us or people cutting us off in traffic, but it's stirring the same emotions. Yeah. We go into that unconscious automatic response of just that anxiety.
I know
response.
If I saw a tiger in the room, my heart rate would go up.
That's it. And automatically. The point is you don't think about it, logically analyze it and say, I'd better beat my heart faster. I think few people could actually beat their heart faster just thinking consciously about it.
And that's what hypnosis is. We work with the whole mind, not just the conscious mind. Exactly. And that's what many things that you can't address in the conscious mind, you can address with the subconscious and the unconscious mind.
That's it. As you say, it's 95, there's some statistical difference, because we don't know. We don't know. You know, 95% of our mind is at an unconscious level, doing so much for us every minute of the day, whether we just take a sip of water, you know, and digesting that and taking the nutrients out of the water. Mm-hmm. That takes a lot of work.
No, most of the time, problems we have, if somebody has anxiety or anything else, we don't have a conscious problem. It's a subconscious problem, and you don't necessarily can fix it with a conscious.
As again, one of my trainers, Bob Burns, would say, if you had a conscious problem, you would have fixed it. You would have, as I've talked about with the beating of the heart faster, you would have consciously, logically thought it through to a conclusion, and you wouldn't have the issue. Mm-hmm. The reason people come to us is because it is at the unconscious level. Yeah. You know?
That's great. So the street hypnosis is always fun. And when people watch it, I always say, look, watch this. If you can do this for fun, think how much it can help you in doing all the things that are not so fun in your life.
Indeed.
And that need changing.
And at the risk of oversimplifying it, it really is the central part. The bigger process, and when I rattle through this, a day's training course, but it's building up a rapport with people, getting a connection with people, getting that trust level that they can work with you and you can work with them. It's then explaining what hypnosis is and what's going to happen. It's about inducing the induction into hypnosis and then doing the core work.
Yeah.
So all those steps up until the core work are identical, whether you're doing street hypnosis, whether you're doing stage hypnosis, or whether you're doing therapeutic change. Then it's the core work. What changes is the suggestions and the methods we use to enforce that change and help them see things differently inside their mind and for them to make the change themselves. And then after the core work is done, whether it's street hypnosis, whether it's change work, you then bring them out of that formal hypnosis state. Again, we said that before, everybody's in hypnosis all the time, but we're talking about the formal where
we're just upfront about it.
That's it. That's it. And again, that's an important point. It's what we call in the industry the hypnotic contract.
Yes.
And you'll see that again on my YouTube channels, even in the street hypnosis. When I walk up to someone, I'll say, well, do you want to be hypnotized? And they'll go, yes. And do you want to be hypnotized by me? Yes. And at any point in those two phrases, do you want to be hypnotized? Well, yeah. If they have that hesitation in the voice, or do you want to hypnotize me? I suppose so.
Yeah, no.
Then again, that's what we call the lack of hypnotic contract. There's not that willingness, that excitement, that up front.
Yeah. And it's, we don't like hitting our head against the wall if we're wanting to help you get better. We want you on board, and that's all the part of it. You have to be on board. That's what the hypnotic contract is all about.
So in terms of formal hypnosis, and again, this is a valuable experience for me because sometimes you'll see that in the client. Out on the street, you'll get this, tough, tattooed guy, and he walks up to you, yeah, right, go on, hypnotize me, mate. And rightly that, just from that tone of voice, from the way he swaggers up to you, that he's just said to his mates, bet you can't hypnotize me. And again, it proves the point. If you don't want to be hypnotized, you won't be. And if someone comes up to me like that, I just say, what? I'm not that good a hypnotist. You win, because it's no use arguing with him because he can't. He's coming up with that resistance, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's funny. It's, that totally proves that we have very little control except over ourselves. And that's what we actually embody to them, is how much more control they have. And when they learn how to access their subconscious and know how it works, then they are more in control.
That's it. Again, can't reinforce that enough. I think we've said it a few times tonight. It's not, again, another famous phrase of mine when people say, oh, can you hypnotize me? It's no, I can help you go into the hypnotic state, and I can help you help yourself. But hypnosis is not like a hairdresser's, and it's a lovely example because when you go into hairdressers, you don't touch the scissors, you don't touch the comb or the brush. You just sit there, do nothing, and they transform you. And they've done all the work, and you've done nothing for that while you were sitting in that hairdresser's chair. That is not what hypnosis is. That is not the way hypnosis works. When you are working with a hypnotist, it's a guide. It's a teamwork process to get to that point of change. And you make the change. I often coin the extra joke, I'll still charge you, but you make the change.
Anyway, we're back to the next break, if you believe it. So off again and we'll see you on the other side.
You're listening to Hypnosis-Everywhere, the Simpson Protocol. To reach the show today, please call into 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to Inez, that's INES, at InezSimpson.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Well, welcome back to our last segment. Time goes so fast. I'm sorry to leave all the time, but I'm just going to go back to Turan. And what I really want to know from Turan right now is this last segment. We usually like to give you, the listener, a tip or a little technique or something. So I'm going to see what I can fish out of Turan to give you some help here. So,
Indeed. Yes. Again, you've mentioned it tonight, a topic called self-talk, and this idea that, we hear thoughts inside our head as if they were being spoken to us. And again, I want to assure people, I assure all my clients that, some people think, oh, I don't want to admit I'm talking to myself because that sounds like I'm crazy. But we all do it. Sometimes it can be as simple as, I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, or I wonder what's on the movies when I get, to the cinema. So we all talk to ourselves, and that's a normal way of being. The problem sometimes is that those thoughts are negative or degrading to you and keeping you back from moving forward. So one of my simple suggestions to people is, it's a lovely little tip. It's a very straightforward tip. I don't know if you want me to talk for long. It's going to be over very quickly. But it's just to press your tongue to the roof of your mouth. The next time you have that negative thought inside your head, just press the tongue. Because when we speak to ourselves, we actually, again, use our imagination as if we're talking out loud. And so putting the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth can just still those voices if it's a negative thought. I don't know if you've heard of that one before.
No, I haven't heard of that one before. That's a great tip, because I usually say, you got to do the, what's his name's stop thing. What was that? Bob Newhart's thing,
Indeed, that's a lovely one. That's a lovely one. That's it. And again, it's about negative thoughts. You don't want, if you're doing nice positive mantra every day and every way I'm getting better and better, just say that to yourself, all the time. But if you have that, oh, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, and you hear that running inside your head, just put the tongue. I'm doing it now. I'm trying to speak at the same time. Again, wonderful hypnotic suggestion is to do that right now. But if you do that, it's very hard, and for most people, impossible to hear yourself while you're doing that. I
think some other tips in the same thing. You can try which one you like the best. Is somebody says, delete, and they'll put in what they want to change the thought to.
Perfect.
So stick your tongue up and then do delete, and say the opposite in a positive way. And when we talk about that, I mean, just because people will always not always, most of the time, people will say things in a negative way, even when they want to be positive. So learn to be positive and use positive language.
That's it.
And, I can say, well, I don't want to do this anymore. I definitely don't want to be silly anymore. But that wouldn't work, because you know how silly I can be. But it might not be something I want to change.
That's it.
So if you don't want to change something, that's fine. But if you find you're saying some things to yourself that are maybe limiting you and are creating what we call limiting beliefs in today's world, is then that's when you want to put the tongue on your top of the roof and delete, and put in the new program.
Yeah.
You can go to the free self-hypnosis site and get
yeah, that's right.
How to.
Yeah, you were telling me about that today, weren't you?
Yeah, I do have the free self-hypnosis site, and it's all on the page. So I won't tell you much more, but it's totally free. And then you can go in there and you start programming yourself. It has nothing to do with me or Turan. It's all about you. And you can do this. And like Turan says, even if you weren't going to be a trainer, but just get educated. This is what this show is about. It's all this free education with fun stuff added, Being
aware of what hypnosis is about. And I've had several people coming on my class and say, I have no intention of ever formally hypnotizing anyone. I just want to know what it's about.
Yeah. And that's great. We love that. And even, the education is so important, because it'll change your life. Just the education for yourself will change life. You'll become aware. And it's just like, and I'm always talking about this, and I'm going to go into a little bit of my rant here, is about taking responsibility for yourself in the medical field, in any field. So we just go to a doctor and we give everything up and we just listen to it. They don't want that. They actually want you to be on board. They want you to be there. So you could be doing self-hypnosis. You could be doing all kinds of stuff that will go in conjunction. You don't have to be against something, just to be present and take responsibility for your life.
That's an important point, because a lot of times people say, when they contact me and making inquiries about hypnosis, well, I'm doing this process with the doctor at the moment. As soon as that's finished, then I'll start. No,
why wait?
It's not going to interfere.
Yeah, it's not there. It's not either or.
Yes.
We want to get this understood, that the more you work with your mind, the better off you'll be physically, mentally, and spiritually, if you're into spiritual. Doesn't matter.
That's
but
it.
We know even those people who aren't into spirituality, I hate to tell you, on some level, there's some belief system you have. So it all helps.
Even us engineers.
Yes.
Even us engineers, those mechanical way of thinking. Yeah, we still have that element.
We haven't come back to that. Wasn't there something you were going to tell us about that? Software.
Oh,
analogy.
Yes. Indeed. Again, a lot of people say, well, there's quite a leap between software and going into hypnosis. But again, this is the way I describe things. When you have a computer, and we've all had software that has a bug in it, So it's not doing the right thing. It might be as simple as printing last name, first name when it's supposed to be printing it the other way around. The computer's not broke. There's no disorder. There's nothing wrong with the computer, the physical hardware. And there's nothing wrong with the program. It's done what it's supposed to do by the way the programmer programmed it. This is the programmer programmed it incorrectly. It was just a misprogram. Yeah, it doesn't meet the user specification. And this is the important point. When people come and say, oh, I've got PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, I say to them, there's nothing wrong with you.
No.
There's nothing wrong with the hardware. There's nothing wrong with you physically. There's nothing wrong with the program you're running. It's just the wrong program. We need to change. And that's why I like the word change work more than hypnotherapy. You're just changing the way you're thinking. So there's a lot of analogies, so whether you're working with computers or working with people, it's the same thing. They're not broke. They just need to change the way they think.
I like that analogy. Excuse me. And just like you say, you like the word change work. I like it for the same reasons. Excuse me. Turan, I have to get you to talk while I cough myself.
Indeed. So yes, it's just about making a change to the way you're thinking, reprogramming that back to first name and then last name. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And for most of the times when you're thinking about software bugs, it's just one little line. One little line can change so much in your life to make everything run smoothly. And it's the same with change work. We don't need to go into a lot of history like you would with psychotherapy and 10 weeks of talking about your relationship with your mother, etc.
Okay, I want to thank you for being here tonight.
Delighted to be here. Thanks very much.
It was great fun, and Turan and I are going to be doing. I'm going to be doing with him as bringing me in here to do Simpson Protocol for 4 days tomorrow. I was really looking forward to that. And then to do the same thing again in Australia 3 or 4 times. So that'll be great. But what I'd like you to know right now, what do I want them? I want them to know who's going to be on next week, right, Martin? And it's Melissa Tears. Melissa Tears she's our NLP goddess. I don't know. She's much more than that.
Much more than that.
She started off as an NLP person. Now she's gone way beyond that. She is phenomenal, and I love her.
And I trained with her as well. I left that off the list of many trainers. So Melissa's a wonderful. I'm just delighted now that I've heard that Melissa's on next week. I'm just chuffed to be the warm-up guy for Melissa. Make sure you say that to her.
She'll be the big band that comes on, and you get to be the front guy.
That's it.
Yeah. So we're going to just tell you as parents again, there's many ways. There's a few programs you can go back and listen to. There's Mona Abdul Abrahim Santal. I have such a mouthful to get that out, but she's doing hypno-parenting and teaching you things to do. There's also Sleep Talk, and then there's Kelly Woods. So Cheryl Elman is talking about, just look for those shows, you parents, because we're educating you. Even if you never went to a formal hypnosis session, you can learn from that. So please utilize all this free education.
Indeed. And again, talking about Melissa and Kelly Woods in the same, phrase, they have a lovely book, Hypnosis for Kids. Even if you're not a hypnotist, it's a wonderful read. It's a wonderful read. So highly recommend that book as well.
Okay. So I hate to say this, but we have to say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Melissa will be here, and we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.
All right, you're clear.
Thanks.
Not a problem. You have a wonderful week.
Thank you. See you next week. Or no, we won't see you next week because we're actually doing a replay.
Okay. Well, I'll see you after that.
We'll be on the plane. Thanks.
Australia.
Bye.